presents High Hopes Episode 1, a short documentary in 4 parts. Today, Part 1 about the fight against Parkinson's and the fight against glyphosate. A fight we might be able to win, if we just want to.
Rain is falling in the golden dawn. Sometimes you can ask yourself what we are doing in the world.
The short documentary, High Hopes, is about the fight against Parkinson's and the possible causes of developing this chronic progressive condition. Industrial Revolution and his downside. Virtually all the world's great forecasters agree that the fourth industrial revolution is happening right now. Consumers continue to perceive materialism as a reflection of a successful life and, therefore, indulge in excessive consumption practices, with negative consequences for themselves and the environment. We live in a consumer society. Which began in England round 1750, Parkinson's disease was first described by James Parkinson in 1755. In 1817, he wrote a paper describing shaking palsy. Palsy referred to the muscle weakness and shaking referred to the noticeable tremor. This condition was later called Parkinson's disease. The disease is thought to be caused by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. People who have been exposed to certain pesticides and those who have previously suffered head injuries are at greater risk of developing the disease.
When I was young, life smiled at me. The world was at my feet. Back in the 70s, we could enjoy freedom, nature, travel, and the smoke. Grandparents and parents who had fought their way to freedom after a terrible time. humanity decided to become more and more greedy.
Mass consumption only started after the Second World War. Economic growth, which had been slowed down in the first half of the century by 2 world wars and a depression, slowly started up again the 50s. In the following decade, the 60s, many consumer goods finally broke through. There is more and more fashion available, and you can find clothes for a low price. But the environment pays a high price for this. The massive, rapid production, use and disposal of clothing leads to CO2 emissions, microplastic pollution, and soil and water pollution. But also, surplus bicycles, cars, and other stuff in the world cause enormous waste and pollution. In fact, there is no industrial revolution, but simply a comprehensive revolution, because everything seems to be turning upside down. Everything will change. Is Roundup the same as glyphosate? Glyphosate is a herbicide, a chemical agent that kills weeds. It is also known by the brand name of a series of products that contain glyphosate, Roundup. In the 1970s, the American company Monsanto launched the weed killer Roundup, with glyphosate as the active ingredient. Since then, it has been one of the most widely used agents to protect crops against weeds. Glyphosate was first approved at EU level on 0107-2002. In the Netherlands, more than 64,000 people now live with the enormously complex disease of Parkinson's or Parkinsonism. Everyone with their own symptoms and challenges. The diagnosis of Parkinson's is increasingly being made, and an increase is expecting in the coming years. Around the world, that is no less than 10 million people.
Doctors and scientists from all over the world have investigated those toxic substances. Crop protection products, such as glyphosate, may be the causes of Parkinson's disease and other neurological disorders. Professor Dr. Bratt from Pennsylvania University explains that from studying the influence of occupational pesticide use on Parkinson's disease in a population with information on various occupational, residential, and household sources of pesticide exposure. To what extent can we conclude that PD can be the possible consequence of crop protection products?
We can conclude that our findings provide additional evidence that occupational pesticide exposure increases PD risk. This was the case even after adjusting for other sources of pesticide exposure. Specifically, the risk increased with occupational use of carbamates, OPS and OCs, as well as fungicides, herbicides, or insecticides. Interestingly, some types of PPE use may not provide adequate protection during pesticide applications.
According to Professor B.A.S. Blom, Radboud University Medical Center, Netherlands,
maar daarvoor moeten we wel aan de slag. Chemie, reiniging, afval van toxische stoffen en hopelijk meer inzicht in dat fundamentele onderzoek om de ziekte te gaan afremmen, stopzetten en wie weet ooit genezen. Ik hoop dat in mijn carrière om mee te maken gaat.
Parkinson's disease is the fastest growing brain disease in the world. How can we explain that? Professor Dr. Bastian Blom, co-author of Ending PD and the Parkinson Pandemic, says this is partly due to pesticides, but unfortunately we can treat PD better and better, and perhaps even prevent it in the future. Monsanto produces genetically modified seeds and pesticides for agriculture. The German chemical group Bayer bought the American company in 2016 for for more than $66 billion. The German chemical group Bayer says it has sold many more products that contain glyphosate. According to the group, these products have also become cheaper. The chemical giant reports this in its half-year figures in 2024.
Money is power, basta. That is why action must be taken now, and the precautionary principle must apply to glyphosate, among other things.
Together we can take on the world. Let's do it now.
A fight we might be able to win, if we just want to. The docu series created by Frozen Rainbow. Storyteller, Hans van Geluk and Amber. Special guests, Professor Dr. Bratt and Professor Dr. Bas Blom. Interview by Andrew Braun. Lyrics and photos in introduction, Wikipedia, Felipe Goncalves, Jos Ehlers, and René Bonder, of the book Generation Z and the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Next episode of High Hopes is about more than glyphosate, namely PFOS, PFAS, etc. We must keep up the fight against it. Until then, stay strong, stay focused, stay healthy. Frozen rain